First, want to thank the governor for putting this working group together and taking a look at reinvesting in and reestablishing and reinventing our criminal justice system, and certainly how we sentence criminal defendants. I want to recognize Representatives Bob Craven, Marvin Abney, and Teresa Tanzi. I think she's back there somewhere. Thank you for taking the time to come out today and your interest and hard work in this area, which has been exhibited in the past. So I'm certain your continued contribution will be invaluable. I want to thank Supreme Court Justice Mattiello and Superior Court Judge Savage for agreeing to co-chair this working group, this task force. They've been leaders in this area in the past. I know they're both very committed to this. I know they bring an expertise to the table on this issue, and I think their willingness to co-chair the working group will be invaluable to the group and to the state of Rhode Island. So thank you very much for your interest in reinventing how we sentence. I've been a practicing attorney for roughly 27 years, and I've done a reasonable amount of work in criminal defense work. And I've always noted how Rhode Island seems to be an outlier, and I always say we shouldn't be an outlier, but our sentences are long. And I'm not sure that we get the bang for the buck for the long sentences. You know, one school of thought would be if you have extremely long sentences and you put people on probation for an extremely long period of time, they're no longer going to be a danger to the community. But you kind of take the wind out of their sails and you take away their hope to be productive members of the community down the road, so you might almost be exacerbating your problem. So maybe we should look at other jurisdictions in the federal system. In the federal system, they have guidelines. They're stern, and they punish, and they create a strong deterrent effect, sometimes much stronger than the state system, even though the sentences and the probation is not as long in the federal system. But they seem to work better. You know, in Rhode Island, there are 20 and 30-year probationary sentences out there for offenses that are significant. I don't want to minimize them, but maybe are not balanced with other states in deserving of such a lengthy sentence. If you're on probation for 30 years, sometimes that takes people into their 80s. That'll affect their livelihood forever, it'll affect their family forever, and so forth. So these are things that we have to look at, and I'm pleased that the governor took the initiative to work on it. It's a very difficult and complicated process. It's going to require the full effort of the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branches of government, and I'm glad we're all here coming together to tackle it. I'm very pleased to appoint 3 House members to the working group. Representative Bob Craven of North Kingston. He's a former prosecutor. I believe he's in the Attorney General's office. He's extraordinarily well respected, and he's been practicing law for at least 3 decades. He has a tremendous amount of expertise in all areas of law, particularly the criminal justice system. So thank you, Bob, for taking this task on. Representative Marvin Abney of Newport, a retired major in the United States Army and a former official with the Rhode Island Department of Education. One of the stated goals of this study is to analyze racial disparities which may exist in the justice system. Representative Abney will bring an important perspective to that endeavor, and his always common sense, thoughtful, level-handed approach to dealing with problems will be invaluable to this group. So thank you, Marvin. And Representative Dan Riley of Portsmouth just received his Juris Doctorate degree from Roger Williams Law School and will be taking the bar exam. So you'll have a young perspective with an interest and an expertise in law to work on the group as well. So he's not here, but I want to thank Representative Dan Riley for agreeing to be on the group. I'd also like to recognize and thank the Council of State Governments for all of the expertise that they bring us and all the expertise they will bring us as we look at our justice reinvestment and reinventment. I'm certain Rhode Island's criminal justice system will benefit from their participation. In 2008, the General Assembly, and I was in the Finance Committee at the time, the General Assembly included in the budget new legislation which enhanced parole discretion and standardized credits for time served. Since that time, it is my understanding that our prison population has dropped by 19%, and our recidivism rate has also declined. So when you take thoughtful approaches, and I remember the analysis that year, but when you take thoughtful approaches and you try to do things better rather than simply harsher, you get better ultimate outcomes. We'll establish and look at alternative sentencing options. We have reserved our prison system for the most dangerous and violent criminals, but those that are not the most dangerous and violent may be better served with less restrictive options. The community may be ultimately better reserved with less restrictive and severe sentencing options. We must continue to make smart reforms to our supervision and parole system that also advance our public safety goals. Public safety has to be our first and foremost consideration, and will balance sentencing options so as to enhance public safety while reducing costs, creating a more efficient system, and helping to serve our community and our families better. When people are down and out on their luck, when they slip up a little bit, if they're a good candidate, we will help them remain good citizens, and will try to help them move in the right direction rather than just lock them up for an unreasonable and unnecessary period of time. We'll look for greater community alternatives, and I'm confident that this working group will help us achieve all of these goals. Once again, I want to thank our Chief Justice and Judge Savage for agreeing to co-chair this. Thank you for your time and bringing your expertise to the table. We look forward to your recommendations, and I'm sure the process will be that much better because of your commitment to the criminal justice system. So thank you all. Thank you for